Next, let's go ahead and jump into the news of the week, and it has been a news week. Oh my God, I'm pretty sure Trump impeached. I'm pretty sure I was reliably informed Trump not only was impeached, he was sent to Gitmo. He was literally sent to Gitmo this week. Did you know?
Sent to Twitmo.
He was
Tweetmo.
bypassed
How
Twitmo.
many people have immunity now?
All of them. Everybody
all
except
of them.
Donald
Everyone
Trump.
who's ever met Donald Trump has blanket
immunity.
As long as you have information and you can compose some great tales.
Exactly.
Right? If you can compose.
Exactly.
Is that what Judge Ellis said? Are you, you know?
Right. Yesterday Trump tweeted about the New York Times saying that they're lunatics. Like, yes, that's exactly. I can't think of he nailed it. I can't think of a better word than lunatics. I mean, these people are rabid beasts. I just in the press. I've never seen anything like this. Did you see some journalists were passing around a little statement of, saying, hey, this paragraph sums up what I think of, how the last 2 years have felt in Washington. And it's like, I'm up all night. I'm thinking about the Russians. I'm thinking about Manafort. I'm thinking I can't sleep. And I'm thinking, man, you guys need to shrink. You guys need to talk to somebody.
It's like some kind of weird nuclear.
Well, they've talked about that too. I wish I'd have bought stock in Xanax. Like I keep threatening to, right after Trump was elected. That would have been the move. Xanax and tear gas. And then the other one for Antifa. Oh my God, they don't have nearly enough.
Trump needs to do a little video on Twitter and something. Just take a Xanax.
Just take a Xanax. Relax.
Yeah.
And then he pulls out a Diet Coke with a straw.
With a straw.
Plastic straw.
Okay, we're taking a real live news break right now because a dozen more people were granted immunity.
We are
just in the 30 seconds.
Right.
We were just talking about
Right.
I'm actually checking because I actually do believe this could be the case because every hour someone else is being granted immunity. Soon enough, it'll be all three of us will be called in to special counsel's office to discuss.
Pretty sure I carried a few satchels of cash.
Yeah,
I mean, who among us hasn't paid off hookers for Donald Trump? I think it's pretty common.
Sarah, you've written a story about Bruce Orr. I want to know, have you had any communications with anyone at the White House, including the president, on these stories?
All right, let's do a little specifics on this, though. All right, so Manafort, I could give a rat's ass about Paul Manafort. Because the bottom line is the guy was a consultant for oligarch tyrant scumbags. And at some level, he cheated on the money for that. So
yes,
I don't really care.
Okay, I get it. I don't even care about him either. But guess what? So did a lot of other people.
True.
The people
Lanny
that are
Davis.
Lanny Davis, who's representing Cohen.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Hillary Clinton.
This guy's the notorious for years, for 20 years. This guy's been notorious in D.C. for representing the worst dictators, thugs, and killers in the world. All over Africa. Like, you're an African warlord. You call Lanny Davis. You've got him on speed dial.
Right. Yeah.
And now,
I imagine he was probably a bagman for the Clinton Foundation. You know what I mean? It'd be interesting if somebody looked at where he's been, who he's dealt with, and donations to the Clinton Foundation.
Lanny has always loved Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. You're never going to get him away. This is why he's representing Michael Cohen. He's coming out. What was interesting was he's very straightforward about Michael Cohen not being ever going to Prague, which was the big CNN story. Remember, even McClatchy wrote this big story that Michael Cohen went to Prague and he was part of this nefarious Russian collusion scheme. And Lanny Davis himself is like, nah, there's nothing here. He never has been to Prague in his life. He never went. End of story. That just blew up in their faces this week. So that was kind of funny. Irony.
It's funny you bring up McClatchy because I dealt with them last year because trying to help them sort of debunk some of the nonsense that they were writing. McClatchy is completely underrated, underreported as a Fusion GPS front.
Absolutely.
Wow. Everything that they were running last year was Fusion GPS, and they ran. It was funny because the most kind of batshit crazy stuff that Fusion GPS had went to McClatchy, and they were running it down.
Yeah, and McClatchy's supposed to be this very nonpartisan, straight, objective news organization. And then you're reading stories like yes, he really was in Prague. And maybe he went through this one country and snuck in by foot. And no one ever saw him there, but he could have been wearing a disguise. I don't even know what
He's
it
a ninja.
was just crazy. He was
They're ninjas.
Michael
They're all
Cohen,
ninjas.
the ninja, you know?
Right.
The secret.
Well, we're old enough to remember when they ran that thing with Iran against Bush, when they claimed who was it?
Oh gosh!
Oh my God, I forgot who it was.
I know what you're talking about.
They claimed that George Bush Sr. got on a plane, got on a jet, and flew to Tehran secretly, and flew back in order to convince the Iranians not to release before the election.
Oh,
yada yada yada.
yes.
What was that guy's name? Regardless, it's a famous story.
We could always look it up on Google.
Yeah, we could Google it. Right.
We need a live Twitter feed because someone would tell us right now. But let's hit the actual charges, all right, that Cohen copped to this week. Because, all right, he copped to being a bag man for Trump paying hush money to hookers. Okay. Now, I read a very interesting piece from a
star.
Whatever. Okay.
No, I'm just.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm going generically
Careful with
across
the
the list because
nomenclature.
there's going to be more than just this. It's not like this is a new
I'm
thing.
just teasing.
But here's the thing, all right? A former chairman of the Federal Election Commission, right, wrote a piece this week saying that if this is something Trump would have been doing anyhow, which apparently he kind of has been. All right, this is not the first time he's been
Who
doing
among
it.
us
Then
has not?
it's
not like this
right.
was. It's not like this came out about like. Okay, I'm not even going to say it, but like someone. Okay, I'm going to say it. Like it's not like this is Vice President Mike Pence who's like been with his wife. This is some kind of weird aberration.
Behavior, and he's obviously paid him off before.
Obviously.
So if it was something he would do in the course of his personal life anyhow, then it's not necessarily purposely to influence the election.
Absolutely.
All right, it can influence the election, but it's the same, and it was described as it's anything you do to make yourself look better. If you were going to do it anyhow, or could do it anyhow, then it's not necessarily a campaign finance violation. This is a former chairman of the FEC. He would know.
That's right. Similar to the Edwards defense in 2012, right? Where Edwards was like, it got thrown out because it was like Edwards was trying to protect his family. I mean, sure, he was running, but there's a lot of complicated issues here. And when you have people with, men or even women with insatiable appetites for the opposite sex or even the same sex, whatever anybody wants. But they have, this is not unknown.
Right.
People with money have these funds set aside to kind of cover up their affairs if they have
Congress has a fund set aside.
Right.
With taxpayer dollars to pay off people.
No, that's exactly right.
Come on.
Yeah.
This is just, we have now argued the perfect case before the jury.
Please acquit. Because they can't even indict him. So here's the thing. All right. So what can they do? All right. Now we've got they pressured Cohen into copping to these pleas, and I think they did it using his other more serious charges, his taxi cab fraud and the other stuff he's doing. They're like, we'll let that slide because we need you to say this. We need you to say the candidate told me to do this. Now what happens? Well, they want Mueller and other people to use that in their report, and they want to try and impeach him on this. All right. That's because they can't indict him. Right. There's no way he's getting indicted. Right. Impeaching him on this is one of the weakest things that could happen, but they're going to try.
Yeah.
Look, I talked to people on the Hill. I talked to people in the Senate this past week. This is not the Hill that they want to die on. They are not going to
Hooker Hill is not the place the Democrats are going to die on.
Hooker Hill. Oh, man, that's going to be a great story. Hooker Hill, David.
It's perfect.
It's done.
Perfect.
Branded.
Hooker Hill. Hashtag Hooker Hill. Don't die on Hooker Hill. So they're not going to impeach him for this. Look, a lot of people, even people that were never Trumpers, have now changed their mind. They've watched how President Trump has worked with, in foreign policy, national issues, the economy, and I think people are taking a step back and saying, whoa, wait a minute.
Right. He's getting stuff done.
This guy is getting the job done.
Yeah, well, look, they're looking over and they're seeing, think about it, maybe the American voter has to be told specifically, like, okay, how many of your friends would it take if the government and, if the DA had unlimited funds and could seek any number of your friends to catch them for crimes, to pressure them to rat on you. Yeah. How many would it take?
Right.
Because
Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Are we talking like local? I got international treaties I've broken that people can talk to.
No, yeah, exactly.
That's it. You're
I'm
done.
not even kidding.
You're toe sinking.
Look, I think that Republicans should be making that case, and the president, maybe the president shouldn't be making that case on his own, but he's, I mean, he's a very effective. Yeah, no, but I think most people don't care about all this stuff. Right. Most people out there, because sure, it's a soap opera, but I mean, let's be honest. It's a soap opera that is the same every episode, right. Which is, oh my God, freak out. Oh my God, let's impeach him. Oh my God, Trump is Hitler. Oh my God, the whole thing. And people are like, yeah, I'm tuning out for the rest of the season.
I think the American public really is. And you can see that they're frustrated with the Mueller investigation. They want it over with. I mean, even people that are reporting on it are tired of it. There's people that are frustrated and angry that we're not investigating all of the other issues that are
Democrat
right out
collusion.
There. No, absolutely. The abuse and the weaponization of our intelligence community, the unmaskings, the leaking, the abuse of power by people in very high positions. Look at what happened to John Brennan, right? I mean, even though, some people came out in support of him, I mean, Clapper came out and said, look, John's kind of off his rocker here, and he's going way too far. And this is the former head of the CIA. These people all have something to hide. That's why they're screaming loudly and pounding their fists. Yeah. So the American people want equal justice here. You're going to go after Trump, get a special counsel to go after everybody else. Let's find out the truth. Yeah.
Well, all right, and here's the thing. I'm sympathetic to Trump for one reason. I don't believe there was Trump-Russia collusion. I don't believe there was any legitimate. All they've got so far is the Trump Tower meeting. Okay, so that's it. That's the only legitimate piece of attempted potential thinking about possibly taking some Oppo research from Russians.
And even that was almost certainly a setup.
Even that looks like it came from Fusion GPS again,
Natalia Veselnitskaya, the woman that was in there at the meeting that it was arranged for, she meets with Glenn Simpson before, she meets with him after. She says herself he gave her talking points to take into that meeting. And he's connected to everyone at DOJ and FBI, so tell me what.
But Trump never brings that up?
No, they don't. Because they don't want to hear that.
They fume about the Trump Tower meeting, how awful it was, and oh my God, if it wasn't treason, then it was definitely disqualifying.
Treason-ish.
Terrible treason-ish stuff. But I haven't seen any of the 50 columns that they've written collectively about this that even mention the Fusion GPS role in
No, they don't.
But now you're Trump, okay? But think about it. You know you didn't do it.
Right.
All right. You know you did not collude with Russia.
And you're furious.
And I'm pissed. I would be, I mean, he sometimes looks a little bit overwrought on Twitter.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I would be on the roof of the White House calling in drone strikes against people who were doing this to me. I'm elected president of the United States. I have a mission. I want to do good things. Instead, I'm wasting days and months and now years defending against something I know I didn't do. I'm sorry. I would be less well behaved.
I'm going to tell you that's why he is innocent. When someone is guilty of something, they don't come out he'll just talk to people about it. He'll come out and be like, "Oh, all that Russia stuff. That's crazy. I've never colluded with Russia." He's never the guy was not colluding. If anything, look, let's talk about this really quick.
Okay.
Why were they not debriefed by the FBI? We know the FBI considered it. James Comey, Loretta Lynch, they all discussed it and they decided against it. They never debriefed anybody in the campaign that there was possible Russians trying to interfere in their campaign. They never did it, although they were required to.
Well, because they wanted to investigate it.
I'd like to get a list.
Catch something.
You know what I'd like to do is get a list of everybody who was debriefed.
Interesting.
The FBI must have debriefed.
At DOJ?
Yeah. Who did they debrief all those years? Who were they debriefing? Because then that would tell us, right?
Sure.
That would tell us, like,
you mean other candidates?
Other candidates.
Oh yeah, no,
yeah, wouldn't that be fantastic?
Well, remember the Russian spy that they rolled up who was getting too close to Hillary, and it was Anna Chapman, right?
Anna Chapman, that's right.
Yeah, they rolled her up because they didn't want. They were afraid that she would actually make contact with Hillary, so they wanted to prevent that at all costs because that's someone they actually wanted to save.
Exactly.
As opposed to set up. Yeah.
So, all right, so we had the week of Manafort, we had Cohen, and Trump's going to walk out of this again, not being impeached, not being indicted. All of this is going to happen, and he's going to roll on out. What's their next move? What do they got? Is there anything left in the Trump-Russia tool bag?
Well, the tool bag keeps expanding and getting twisted. It's like a weird ball of yarn that unrolls and then rolls someplace else. I think it's going to be the whole Sessions. Right now it's with Sessions, right? Okay. So I think any move that the president tries to make now, although he has the right to have somebody in a position of Attorney General that he can trust, that he has a good relationship with, right now,
that's going to investigate the Democrat collusion.
That's going to investigate, the other side. Okay, investigate me all you want, but investigate her. Guess what? People are going to jail when they investigate that, right? And who knows what Huber is, from John Huber from Utah has already discovered. But I think that's what's going to happen. Any move the president makes on Sessions is going to become like an obstruction in his face. They're going to try to throw that. Look, Sessions, if he does the right thing, look, it's been 2 years. He's done a good job to some people. Some people think he's done a terrible job. I think that in the end of all things, when we look back and step outside the picture, they were both placed in a very compromising and difficult position, right? But they don't have a relationship anymore. Right. There is nothing there. It's doing more damage to the country than any good. Well, Sessions should probably just resign. He should just resign. The guy doesn't want him there. He's not doing any good for the country. This fighting has got to stop within the Republican Party. If he does that, I think everything's fine. He should have
resigned rather than recused himself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that was the dumbest move in American politics in forever.
As president, you're the chief executive. If your senior leaders do not have the ability to make sure the rest of the government isn't running rampant, you don't have a cabinet. You don't have a leadership. So right now, I think Jeff Sessions, obviously, to the extent he ever had it, has lost it. And whatever good he's done has been swept aside. So I think that would be great. I think that would be a pro move, is for him to say, you know what, I'm causing more trouble than good.
That's right.
So at this point, let me find something else to do.
Absolutely, and I think that gives him...
That puts Rosenstein in charge.
I know, and you got people...
But who's in charge now anyways? Rosenstein. So you know what?
Of all the nastiness.
I would rather roll the dice that if Sessions resigns, that there could be a compromise on the Hill to put somebody else in his place that would be able to do this. And look, Rosenstein himself is conflicted, and it's going to start coming out a lot more. I mean, he signed the 4th FISA warrant on Carter Page. He actually wrote the letter to President Trump
How
to
could
dismiss
he get
Comey.
away with that?
I don't even
How
know.
Could I don't know.
This over.
Right.
I'm so mad because
you're the guy. You're the guy who wrote the memo saying get rid of him.
Yeah, and
now you're going to appoint a special prosecutor to do that. This is insane. I mean, no wonder people think that the books are cooked.
Well, and the whole concept now of Mueller having an unlimited warrant. And the funny thing is, watching the left now say, oh, but what about Whitewater? What about Bill Clinton? You're like, you guys thought that was the worst thing that ever happened when it's happening. You're saying, but we should do it again. Because now they're doing it to a guy I don't like. I mean, I'm sorry. That's so hypocritical. It's unconscionable. But now we need to look at whether Mueller can be reined in. Can he just continue to go forever? Because what's the mechanism other than Trump firing him, Mueller, or Rosenstein, and everybody else? Can he do that? And what's the repercussions for that? Mueller needs to wrap it up.
That's exactly what's going to happen. He can't. The president can't at this point. I think politically it would be damaging to him to fire Mueller or to fire Rosenstein. I think that the best options, and if Jeff Sessions cares at all about this country, cares at all about this administration, he should just resign very gracefully, and he can. He's done 2 years of service. It's been good. He's been great on immigration and other things. Give it up to somebody else, and then let the cards fall where they may. Mueller's going to wrap up this investigation. He's going to file a report. The Republicans are going to scream bloody murder. The Democrats are going to say this and that. But the November elections are coming up, and the American people will decide who they want. Now, is the House going to remain Republican? We don't know. I mean, I've heard both things, two sides of this argument. I'm not a fortune teller, but I mean, I'm hearing maybe we'll win by 4 to 5 seats. That's what I'm hearing.
That would be interesting.
That would be interesting. It'd be very close. We'd all be sweating. Everybody would be sweating.
Would do very well.
Oh, the liberal tears would flow like waterfalls if that happens. God.
No, and then the next day is when the next day he fires Mueller. The next day he does all the things. I mean, look, I would counsel him to do that. I mean, if November works out well, damn the torpedoes.
Damn the torpedoes. I like that.
Well, I think we can stop with damning the torpedoes. Been a lot of fun. David Reboy, always a pleasure.
And Hooker Hill.
We will not die on Hooker Hill. That is not where we will plant the flag.
But we won't die.
Sara Carter, you can find her work at SaraACarter.com. But that's going to wrap up the Free Speech Friday podcast. We will catch you again next week, and we're just not going to shut up. You can count on that.
Rocks!